Okay, we're back for number 23. It's been a couple of weeks since we've done one. So do the shout outs first. Big shout out to Andre, who likes to do the geography ones, and Billy, Graham, Margaret, and Josie and Bill, Stephen, Rita, Jean and Davy from Lisburn, and Betty, and Stevie and Rita. I'll say it. Right, we're going to go into round one. There's a couple of good ones this week. What is iron pyrites more commonly known as? Iron pyrites or iron pyrites? Number two, the River Spey in Scotland is famous for which type of alcohol? That's the River Spey in Scotland. Bombay Sapphire is a brand of which alcoholic drink? That was number three. Number four, in Devon, there's a village with the only place in the UK to have an exclamation mark. What is the village called? Okay, in Devon, there's a village with the only place in the UK to have an exclamation mark. What is it called? That's hard to say, exclamation mark. Right, number five, which brass instrument means well sounding or sweet voiced? Which brass instrument means sweet sounding or well sounding or sweet voiced? And number six, pumpernickel is a type of which foodstuff? Pumpernickel. And number seven, what is the most consumed manufactured drink in the world? What's the most consumed manufactured drink in the world? And number eight, another food one. Americans call it an eggplant, but what do we call it over here? The Americans call it an eggplant, but what do we call it? Right, get your answers down on this sheet, and if you get around about the 24 to 28 mark, you'll be doing well this week. That's your pass, 24 to 28. Okay, here's the answers if you want to pause it. I'm going to go back over some of the stuff. Number one, what is iron pyrites more commonly known as? Fool's gold. The River Spey in Scotland is famous for which type of alcohol? It's whiskey. It's the whiskey distilleries use. The whiskey distilleries uses the River Spey. Bombay Sapphire is a brand of which alcoholic drink? It's gin. And in Devon, there's a village with the only place in the UK to have an exclamation mark. It's Westward Ho! Exclamation mark. Which brass instrument means well sounding or sweet voiced? Euphonium. Pumpernickel is a type of which foodstuff? Bread. And what is the most consumed manufactured drink in the world? Tea. And Americans call it an eggplant. What do we call it? Aubergine. That's an aubergine. Alright, we're going to move on to number two. Which country is the largest wine producer in South America? Which country is the largest wine producer in South America? And number two, what type of flower does a vanilla pod come from? Which type of flower does a vanilla pod come from? Here's a good wee question. Who is the only British Prime Minister to have played first class cricket? I haven't even got the answer wrote down, but I remember who it is. In September 1886, who was the last Native American leader to formally surrender to US forces? So it was in September 1886, who was the last Native American leader to surrender to US forces? And 3 years before that leader, the eruption of which volcano caused 36,000 deaths in 1883. the eruption of which volcano caused 36,000 deaths in 1883. And number 6. At the time of the Russian missile crisis, what was the name of the Russian leader? At the time of the Russian missile crisis in 1962, what was the name of the Russian leader? And number 7, in which country is the city Port of Spain? In which country is the city Port of Spain? And number 8, which London palace has a famous maze? Okay, which London palace has a famous maze? Okay, if you want to pause that, I'm going to go back and rewind it and go over them. I'm going to give you the answers here. Which country is the largest wine producer in South America? I went for Chile. It's Argentina. What type of flower does a vanilla pod come from? It's an orchid. And who is the only British Prime Minister to have played first-class cricket? Alec Douglas Hume. And in September 1886, who was the last Native American leader to surrender to US forces? It wasn't Sitting Bull, it was Geronimo. And the eruption of which volcano caused 36,000 deaths in 1883? Krakatoa. Remember there was a film out there, Krakatoa, east of Java. And apparently it's not east of Java, somewhere else. Right, at the time of the Russian missile crisis in 1962, who was the Russian leader? Khrushchev. In which country is the city Port of Spain? Trinidad. Or is it Trinidad and Tobago now? Trinidad. And which famous palace has a famous maze? Which London palace has a famous maze? Hampton Court. Right, add up their scores. Keep the music until the end. And here we're going to go on to round 3. The Yarmulke, the Zuccato, and the Mitre, M-I-T-R-E, the Mitre, are hats with what in common? The Yarmulke, the Zuccato, and the Mitre are hats that have what in common? Number 2. In the TV series Doctor Who, what was the name of the Doctor's granddaughter, who was also his first companion? So it was the first series, I think that was the first series. And number 3, what does the term Boxing Day originate? Where does the term Boxing Day originate? Where did the name come from, Boxing Day? Here's a Bible one, number 4. Who is said to have named all of Earth's animals in the Bible? Who is said to have named all of Earth's animals in the Bible? And number 5. Cavity Sam is the patient in which classic game? Cavity Sam is the patient in which classic game? I'm looking for a date in this one, but I'm going to give you 25 years either way. So if you're within 25 years either way, so that's really a 50-year gap you've got, so you have a good chance. Big Ben first rang its bell in which year? Big Ben first rang its bell in which year? Now you have 25 years either side, so if you're within 25 years either way of it, you'll get it. Not 50 years that way or 50 years that way, 25 years either side. Okay, number 7. A face with a moustache and a bow tie is a logo for which food brand? Okay, a face with a moustache and a bow tie is a logo for which food brand? And number 8. What unit is force measured in? What unit is force measured in? So, if you want to go back and rewind that and go over some of them, pause it now. I'm going to give you the answers. Okay, here we go. Here's the answers for round 3. Where's it 2? 3. That's 3. The Yarmulke, the Zucchetto and Mitre are hats with what in common? They're all religion. They've all hats to do with religion. In the TV series Doctor Who, what was the name of the Doctor's granddaughter, who was also his first companion? It was Susan. His granddaughter was Susan. And where does the term Boxing Day originate? The servants were given boxed gifts and a day off. So servants from the big houses were given boxed gifts and a day off. That's where the Boxing Day came from. Number 4. Who is said to have named all of Earth's animals in the Bible? It was Adam. Cavity Sam is a patient in which classic game? Operation. And Big Ben first rang its bell in which year? You have 25 years other way. 1859. So you can work on it. If you've got 25 years one way or 25 years the other way, you'll get a point. A face of a moustache and a bow tie is a logo for which food brand? Pringles. And what unit is force measured in? Force is measured in newtons. We're going to the last 2 rounds. We'll keep the music till the end. There's some good wee questions in this round. Near the end. Okay, round 4. A fear of trees is called what? A fear of trees is called what? And number 2. In our solar system, where is the largest known mountain? In our solar system, where is the largest known mountain? Number 3. What is Donald Duck's girlfriend's name? Number 4. Which tennis star was married to US actress Brooke Shields in the late 90s? Okay, so what tennis star was married to US actress Brooke Shields in the late 1990s? Number 5. Olivia Newton-John was once engaged to Bruce Welch. Which group was Bruce Welch a member of? Olivia Newton-John was once engaged to Bruce Welch. Which group was Bruce Welch a member of? And number 6. Twitter, the maximum number of characters in Twitter used to be 140, but Twitter changed the character limit of a tweet in 2017 from 140 to what number? Number 7. Who was the last King of England to die in battle? Who was the last King of England to die in battle? Here's a good wee question for you. Number 8. Many countries have a day called Arbor Day, A-R-B-O-R, Arbor, in which you are encouraged to do what? Okay, so many countries have a day called Arbor Day, in which you are encouraged to do what? Okay, I'm going to go back on some of them. Pause it. I'm going to give you the answers to round 4, and then we'll go into a music round. I'm thinking the music round, and one of the ones that I got mixed up and didn't write a music round. I put a general knowledge one in, so you've only 7 music ones instead of 8. I've got I think it's a work question or something. Okay, here's the answers. A fear of trees is called what? Dendrophobia, D-E-N-D, dendrophobia. And our solar system, where it's the largest known mountain, it's on Mars, and it's called Olympus Mons, M-O-N-S, Mars. What is Donald Duck's girlfriend's name? Daisy. Which tennis star was married to US actress Brooke Shields in the late 1990s? Andre Agassi. Or Agassi, is it? Number 5. Olivia Newton-John was once engaged to Bruce Welch. And which group was Bruce Welch a member of? He was a member of the Shadows. And number 6. What did Twitter change the character limit of a tweet to in 2017? It used to 140 and they changed it to 280. Number 7. Who was the last King of England to die in battle? Richard III. And many countries have a day called Arbor Day, in which you are encouraged to do what? It's just over. It was in April here. Next year, the date is April the 29th for next year. It's plant a tree. Arbor Day, they encourage you to plant a tree somewhere. Plant a tree. Count them scores up. And we're going to go on to the final round, which is music, and you have 7 of them. Except for number 5, which is a war one, but I put in by mistake. Okay, number 1, and it's an opera one. So you won't like that, but most of you might get it. Which opera is centered around a rebellious tobacco factory worker in the early 19th century Seville? Which opera is centered on a rebellious tobacco factory worker in early 19th century Seville? And number 2. The video for which song became the first on YouTube to get 1 billion views? The video for which song became the first on YouTube to get 1 billion views? Okay, number 3. Which railway station features in a 1967 song by the Kinks? Which railway station features in a 1967 song by the Kinks? And number 4. The soundtrack of which Hugh Jackman film was the biggest selling album of 2018? The soundtrack of which Hugh Jackman album or film was the biggest selling album of 2018? What was the name of the film? I've never actually, I think I've seen the first 10 minutes. I've always meant to watch it again, but I never got around to it. Number 5, here's the odd one out here, a war one. In which war did the Tet Offensive take place? In which war did the Tet Offensive take place? T-E-T. The Tet Offensive. Right, number 6. What was the name of the USA version of Band Aid, which sang We Are the World? Okay, so what was the name of the USA version of Band Aid, which had the single We Are the World? And number 7. Which qualification sang I Won't Let You Down? Which qualification sang I Won't Let You Down? Okay, it was a big hit in 1983. So the title of the person of the group, the person took his name from a qualification. Well, they're all right. Same name as a qualification anyway. So what is the name of the qualification? Number 8. Let's look at this thinking this one. A lot of you will get this when you think about it. Like, what is the only 60s number 1 to mention a fruit in the title? What's the only 60s number 1 to mention a fruit in the title? I hope I get you that one. Right, if you want to pause them, go back over a couple and I'm going to give you the answers. Number 1. Which opera is centered on a rebellious tobacco factory worker in 19th century Seville? It's Carmen. And the video for which song became the first on YouTube to get 1 billion views? Gangnam Style. And which railway station features in a 1967 song by the Kinks? It's Waterloo. Waterloo Sunset. Waterloo. And the soundtrack of which Hugh Jackman film was the biggest selling album of 2018? The Greatest Showman Here's the odd one out. In which war did the Tet Offensive take place? The Vietnam War. Vietnam War. Number 6. What was the name of the USA version of Band Aid which sang We Are the World? It was USA for Africa. And which qualification sang I Won't Let You Down in 1983? PhD. Okay, it was PhD. And remember, did he form in the, what was the other song he had? And he changed his name to his other name. Hi Ho Silver. Jim Diamond. Wasn't it Jim Diamond? What's the only 60s #1 to mention a fruit in the title? Apple. Blackberry Way. Blackberry Way. I hope I got you in that one because I like that wee one. Good song too, The Move. I like The Move. Okay, it was good to be back, and I hope to see you again in a couple of weeks if I can, depending on what's happening here. So hope you enjoyed that, and I'll catch you all soon. Have a good weekend.